welcome to another episode of the Watchdog with me, Lowkey, here on Mint Press. And we are on the west side of Rotterdam in the Netherlands today for a special, very special episode with a guest who I feel it's important that English language audiences can get acquainted with and also can really enlighten us on the events in Amsterdam, which took place around a month ago. At the time of broadcasting. That took place around a month ago. We saw hooligans from the Israeli football team, Maccabi Tel Aviv, marauding the streets, tearing down Palestinian flags, attacking bystanders, chanting racist chants. But also, and this is very important, it included agents of Israel's external intelligence agency, Mossad, as was reported by the Jerusalem Post prior to that. Now, we have the point of view of somebody who was there on the night, a legend of the hip-hop industry in this country, none other than Appa. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Thanks for the invite, bro.
We appreciate it. And so really what I wanted to start with is you were there on the night. How did things begin? And how did they develop?
Well, they actually started with the Maccabi Tel Aviv hooligans just tearing up the streets, attacking people, throwing stuff at people, kicking people off their bikes, destroying taxis, being hooligans, actually. When they started singing on the Dam Square, racist songs, killing Arabs, raping women.
And this was in Dutch.
This was this was in their own language.
Right.
But it was in the center of Amsterdam. They started doing this. A lot of tension was building up because a lot of videos started to come online before all the rioting.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
The number I think was like approximately 350 hooligans. So it was a large group. Mm-hmm. And I think it was from the early afternoon until late in the evening that they were, tearing up the city a day before the match against Ajax.
So the day before the match against Ajax, they were around the streets, around 350 of them.
Yeah.
Did they seem organized?
They did, yeah, actually.
When you say organized, give me an example of how they seemed organized.
Well, you could see that they were moving in a big group, not loosely going throughout the city doing what they do. It was actually just one big group moving together. It was almost strategically going inside the metros, going outside the metros, going onto the Dam Square. Just in one group, not divided, nothing.
And I imagine also that, like the rest of us, people in Amsterdam had probably seen footage of them attacking an Egyptian in the streets of Athens around half a year prior to this match.
Yeah, these videos went viral because you know how the internet works, how social media works. So everybody knew what type of hooligans these guys were. So yeah.
We also know from the report in the Jerusalem Post that there were current active agents of Israel's external intelligence agency Mossad, with them, which is very rare. You would never see that in another context for another nation state. It would be very rare that they would send people like that with them. And then also it seems after the fact, it seems there were Israeli reservists from the military.
There seemed soldiers,
to have been people that had fought in Gaza present with them. Is that the case?
That was actually the case. They were showing around these IDF T-shirts, but the things that they were spewing and screaming about on the streets. A couple of people had some altercations with them earlier on the afternoon, and one guy was reported that he was saying, "I just killed a lot of you, and I'm on a vacation." So
wow.
He wanted to do the same over here. He was laughing about it. So that's evidence enough, I think.
So in terms of what happened after that, it has been reported widely in English language media that this was a quote unquote anti-Semitic pogrom.
Yeah.
What would be, as someone who was there, what would be your response to
Well, actually the word pogrom and Kristallnacht The first one to even speak these words was the mayor of Amsterdam, Femke Halsema. She was the first one to throw it out there. But we all know that the history behind these words are it's a heavy history. So it's not something you should take lightly or make use of just to demonize a certain group of people. But they did. But this is not the reality. The reality was actually people defending themselves, just like the people in Gaza are doing. People who were resisting these hooligans who were attacking them in their city, taking flags off their houses and their homes. So it's a matter of defense, not attacking a pogrom. That's just a word that's been misused, a history that has been misused to paint a picture and spin the narrative and claim false victimhood. But they're the perpetrators.
Interestingly, it was said that by particular figures within the Dutch government, they've said since then that Netanyahu was putting a lot of pressure on them to use particular language when talking about what happened. You also, of course, saw Sky News, which is a Murdoch-owned news channel, come out with a report giving context to everything that happened, showing the chants, showing the history of these hooligans that had attacked others in other places, showing footage of them attacking people. But then Sky News actually sought to censor that report and then replace it with a more malleable version of events to what Israel wanted, essentially.
Yeah.
And of course, the editor at Sky News is somebody who has previously got someone fired from their job at the company because of the way that she was questioning the Israeli ambassador to the UN.
That's a sin.
Yeah, and she's somebody who, this editor, has a history of supporting Israel. So it's an interesting kind of equation there. What was the coverage like in the Dutch language news?
Well, actually, since the beginning, it was pro-Israeli, defending the hooligans, portraying the people that are defending themselves as the aggressors, the terrorists, if you like.
Really, was that you?
That was
used?
From day one, yeah.
Right. So it wasn't just an implication;
No,
it was a direct.
It was a direct attack, actually, and people like Geert Wilders directly, instantaneously started talking about dual citizenship of the Moroccan youth who was defending their city, their homes, and talking about looking for ways through the judicial system to take away the Dutch passport and leaving them with the Moroccan passport so they can send them back. So they're actually still looking into this. They can make it happen. The government is also busy with this matter. They're really investigating on a high level, pursuing everybody who was there. Right. So,
and those arrests have taken place, or
a couple. Yeah,
okay,
a couple, but they're still investigating. So I think more will follow within due time. So it's an interesting time in the Netherlands at this point.
I mean, the Netherlands actually, in terms of surveillance, is similar to London in that it's one of the most surveilled populations.
Yeah.
It uses facial recognition quite widely. So, of course, stuff like that will probably come into play at some point.
Well, the arrestees actually were identified throughout these systems, these Israeli systems.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing that I also wanted to talk about with you is that for several decades now, you have at least a decade actually at this point, you have the Dutch police using an Israeli company by the name of Verint to hack phones of Dutch citizens.
Yeah.
They've also made a deal with a subsidiary of Elbit Systems called Cyber Intelligence as of 2019 to install a new system. So these are Israeli companies. These are companies founded by former personnel, alumni of Israeli military and intelligence agencies. You also have the company ICTS, which is technically a Dutch company, but it was founded by former personnel of the internal Israeli intelligence agency Shin Bet. Now, ICTS has a massive role in the administering not only of airports in this country, but across Europe, actually. This is all quite concerning for any state which has pretensions about sovereignty, for it to, in essence, be outsourcing key columns of its sovereignty to individuals that are former employees of a either foreign intelligence or military force. Is this right? This is
true.
Right?
Actually, the Dutch police works with a company, Israeli company named Celebrite.
Yeah.
Or maybe the company name is different,
it was Celebrate. This was
Celebrite.
The one that you mentioned, yes.
Celebrite is the company that I had to log in when the police took my phone, when they kicked in my door and took me to jail for nothing. I had to log in to Celebrite to get the information from my phone back. And yes, it is an Israeli company, and the Dutch government, the Dutch police work with these companies to...
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, what we're talking about on one hand is Verint and cyber intelligence being the people that would eavesdrop the phone conversations from afar.
And the Netherlands is one of the biggest, one of the countries that
surveils the highest number.
Yeah,
of
one of the highest numbers of surveillance on its own citizens.
Exactly, and it would be specifically targeted at the pro-Palestinian, at the Moroccan community, without a doubt also at leftist organizations. Yeah. This kind of surveillance would be targeted at them. And these are, of course, the people who would also be out on the street protesting in support of Palestine right now. So it kind of poses quite an interesting equation in terms of what is and what isn't political power here. But also there's another lobby group, which I believe you may have had some experience with in the past, by the name of CIDI.
Yeah, Central Information Documentation Israel.
Tell us about them.
Well, they're actually the biggest Israeli lobby group around. They have, just to give you an example, a clear view. These are people that can call the Prime Minister of Holland and they can have him inside their office in 15 minutes, just to make an example. These people have a lot of power. These are the people who target anybody who has a little bit of influence and is pro-Palestinian, pro-life, anti-genocide. These are the people who are directly responsible for the fake narratives that we see in the mass media in the Netherlands. These types of people are very powerful. And they wield a lot of power inside the Dutch government, but also inside the Dutch media. And these are also the people that link companies like Celebrite, like ICTS was.
Yeah, ICTS.
Yeah, this is actually the spill of everything. These are the tentacles of Israel that reside in the Netherlands.
And I've been looking at some of the board of CIDI, at least historically. You've got an individual by the name of Shamotil Zaidla, who was a board member for CIDI after being the spokesperson for the Israeli occupation forces. So the relationship between this group and the Israeli military is like a revolving door, seemingly. But also, you in the past have made a song about him. He's somebody that has quite a large level of influence within Dutch society. I'm talking about someone, Geert Wilders, sorry for my pronunciation, but this is somebody at the age of 17, was the first time that he lived in occupied Palestine. He actually visited the political entity, the alleged state of Israel, 40 times after that.
Exactly.
And he's somebody that was funded by the Middle East Forum. Now, the Middle East Forum is a key Zionist US think tank. It was quoted something like 13 times in the manifesto of Anders Breivik before he carried out the killing of all of those people in Norway. Yeah. But Also, the Middle East Forum is headed by Greg Roman, who is a former employee of the Israeli Ministry of Defense and the Israeli Foreign Ministry. Yeah. So this has been the direct channeling of funds towards Wilders. Could you tell us about him as a political personality and, of course, as someone that you have examined critically for decades now?
Well, Geert Wilders is like, in Dutch we call him a bliksemafleider. Somebody who takes pride in being able to divert the attention from the things that are important. And he's very pro-Zionist, very pro-Israel. His function actually inside the Dutch government is to vilify the Muslim population, make them the villains constantly. He's consistent throughout all these years in just bashing the Muslim community and everything that has to do with Islam, because it's easy for him to do, because nobody stands in his way. The media portrays him as some kind of superhero. But the funny thing is, before in his in the beginning of his political career, he was a politician, starting politician, beginning politician at the VVD. That's the party of Mark Rutte. He was not per se pro-Muslim, but he defended us actually. Wow. Quite funny to see the videos from back in the day.
What kind of time period was this in terms of years?
I wouldn't...
Early 2000s or
yeah,
late
I think
90s?
Early 2000s. No, not in the 90s. This was early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah.
And he was actually defending Muslims on television in a famous television program. There is a video online on YouTube, why he's defending Muslims in that video. And then he switched when he went to Israel. He came back and then he was playing his part in, vilifying the Muslim, making us the bad guy, the center of attention for everything that's negative. Right. So when he started doing that, he became bigger because the media was portraying him as some
hero, outspoken hero.
Exactly. Yeah. And all the attention that went to the Muslims, he started in the time of the Iraq War. He started, and since then he had just maybe one little period that he went down a little bit. He didn't generate a lot of attention. But since this whole Palestine problem started to get big again, then they're starting to push him again.
Immobilized him.
So they just activated him, and now he's on top of his game. He also almost became prime minister. Yeah. But it's not his moment yet. So they decided to keep him at bay. But he's fully in his role again in vilifying the Muslim and participating in controlling the narrative about Israel and making them the victim again. And, we're the bad guys.
Yeah. And you wrote a song about him, is that correct?
Yeah, he also sued me in 2007.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I made a song. Ik heb scheid aan de overheid. I had an interview about that song. He made a remark about Moroccan football fans. And he said about the Moroccan football fans that the Dutch police should have shot them in their knees. Wow. So in that interview I had with a paper, with a Dutch paper, they asked me, would you cry? Would you mind if Geert Wilders would get shot in the head? Well, I'm not the type of person that likes to lie, so I was like, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't cry about it. If it happens, it happens. It's not somebody that I empathize with
and
whatsoever.
This is in the context of him calling for Moroccan football fans to be shot.
Exactly, and I just answered the question. The context
was posed to you.
Exactly. So it weren't my words. Yeah. So I said no, I wouldn't mind. The next day, they put the complete sentence. They positioned
I
it.
wouldn't mind if
exactly
as if you actually said the
as if I said it.
Yes.
So
yes.
Which based
paper
on that,
was it? Which paper was it? If you remember, it's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna remember it in a second.
Worries. Yeah.
But he based on that sentence, he sued me. Well, he lost.
Wow.
He lost the case, and I won.
And what was his what was he suing you for? For incitement?
threatening him.
Threatening him.
So he was scared, and he sued me, but he lost, and then never spoke about it again.
Right.
So with a television program, we sent him a flower and a letter, for thanks for promoting my album, because my album was coming out that week.
And how did it do, the album?
Crazy numbers. Yeah, for an independent, it was crazy. I was like number 4 in the top 100.
Wow.
Above Jay-Z, it was like me, little old me. So we thanked him. We sent him a rose with a nice letter. But the Dutch Secret Service, they sent it back.
Interesting.
So it didn't reach him. I don't think they liked it, but that's what it is.
Interesting. Interesting. I think one of the other aspects of the ICTS story, which may relate to some of the viewers, is that today it has a subsidiary called Authentics, and Authentics is used by Elon Musk to verify identity of people on his X, formerly Twitter, platform. And I think one of the things about Elon Musk, which has escaped people's view, is his relationship with the Israelis, which precedes the period where they pressured him post-October 7th. SpaceX, his company, launched spy satellites for the Israelis, a company called ImageSat International, which Unit 9900 in the Israeli military relies upon. It's the visual intelligence unit, which gains the advantage by viewing places it bombs very, very far up in the sky.
So they're using... in real time, still they're using this technology of Musk.
So SpaceX launched the spy satellites.
Okay.
So it's a close working relationship, really. The Israeli embassy publicly thanked SpaceX, the Israeli embassy in the US, and the company itself, ImageSat International, which is all staffed by former and current Israeli military personnel, thanked Elon Musk personally when this took place, at least a year before the October 7th. So it's interesting, this relationship. And I think ICTS is possibly one of their more successful projects when you think about a massive, giant airport management and security, aviation security company, which is spanning across at least 10 countries, is all over Europe, but has come out of the Netherlands in that period of the early 80s. And so what you have in the late 70s and the early 80s are a few different organizations in the Netherlands that are directly folded in with the Israelis and linked very close to them. So, for instance, you've got the Christians for Israel International, which came out of the Netherlands and has a proselytizing mission across the world to try and pull people over to simultaneously Christianity and Zionism. So, for example, one of their international offices in Uganda is actually also the Israeli embassy. So imagine this is a supposedly Christian Dutch organization which shares its office with the Israeli embassy in Uganda. And also you have a situation where this organization has been able to get quite a lot of energy behind the import of goods from settlements into the Netherlands and into the market here for people to consume. It works very closely with the United Israel Appeal, one of the national institutions of Israel. You've even got actually during the 2014 Operation Protective Edge, which left over 2,000 Palestinians killed, the Christians for Israel International took 50 Dutch citizens and took them into Tel Aviv and placed them in an office going online, arguing Israel's point online. And
they all came from the Netherlands.
And they all came from the Netherlands. They were all Dutch citizens. And they set up a Facebook group called Holland for Israel. And so on one side of it, what it tries to do is present these things as organic and just coming from Dutch support for the Israelis. And there's an element of truth to that, but
It's masterminded.
It's masterminded and it's directly coordinated with the Israeli government. And in any other society that was functioning properly, you would understand this to be foreign agents.
Exactly.
Essentially. And then you have, for example, the attempt in 2011 for them to basically organize people from South Sudan to go to occupied Palestine, the political entity of Israel, through this organization. What we know is following on from that, Israeli society is so racist that people that were coming from South Sudan were subject to all manner of harassment on the streets, abuse and attack, where even you have the Minister for Social Equality now, May Jolan, she calls herself, the Israeli Minister for Social Equality and Women's Empowerment, saying in the streets of Tel Aviv, I am proud to be a racist. And this was in their actual pogroms that were carried out against the Sudanese. And what you also have here is something called the Israel Products Center, which is constantly working to try and sell goods coming from Israeli settlements. Yeah. So you have literally 200 volunteers that work with this organization that go door to door in the Netherlands selling goods that have come from illegal settlements.
And we also have them in the big stores like Albert Heijn and other big stores that sell products from illegal settlements, but they mask it, they disguise it as Middle Eastern products. This is from Syria, this is from Palestine, this is from, they put the stickers on, but thanks to BDS, a lot of these companies get exposed.
Right.
So a lot of people are starting to remove these stickers or, sticking something else like this from an illegal settlement. So they're getting exposed bit by bit, piece by piece. But they do sell their stuff, their products from illegal settlements in the biggest stores in the Netherlands. And they've been doing this for decades.
Yeah. And, we are broadcasting this episode from the night shop on the west side of Rotterdam. Thank you.
Big up to the night shop.
Big up to the night shop. I hope you pass through if you're watching this from anywhere in the Netherlands. I also understand that you have been keeping up to date with the activity of Palestine Action in the UK. What's your impression of?
I'm enjoying this whole festivity, man. The beauty of shutting down Elbit Systems, partially, I believe, or completely. The one factory.
We've shut down 2 factories, one office. Wow. 280 million pounds worth of contracts was cancelled, and now a 2 billion pound contract has been cancelled. Yeah. Numerous companies have severed ties. Yeah. It's an interesting model. My understanding is that when it has been applied in the Netherlands more, they've been directly trying to apply terrorism charges. England is a little bit behind that, but it's getting to the point where
in the Netherlands they just put you directly inside that bracket of terrorism because of the ties that the Netherlands has with Israel and the protection that it gives to Israeli companies and Zionist lobbyists, etc. So it's a little bit more complicated to achieve these types of victories in the Netherlands.
Absolutely.
But it's an interesting model indeed.
Yeah. And from your perspective as somebody who's essentially a veteran of this, you're somebody that was having shows shut down, being targeted by the Israel lobby 15 years ago, we're talking about. And, it doesn't come any bigger than Geert Wilders, as someone coming for you and trying to stop your operations and slow you down. What is your prediction for where things will go from here? Because on one side, what happened in Amsterdam is an example of failed Zionist propaganda. This was 100%. An attempt to smear, to disfigure, to monsterize a community. But actually, there was a bit of a rebellion.
It blew in their face. It blew up in their face. Yeah.
So what do you think will be the next step in all of this?
I think that the people are starting to wake up. In the Netherlands, people are fed up being lied to and the group that's waking up is becoming bigger and bigger. That's why they're trying to control this narrative and reshaping it in a way that they're trying to instigate that fear of Muslims. Astaghfirullah, again, because the Dutch people already have that fear. They already have it installed inside of them since the Iraq war, the war on terror, the Bin Ladens and the Saddam Husseins and the whatnots. They're trying to reignite that fear again.
Yeah.
But it's more difficult now because the younger generation, it's difficult to make them scared of people that they grew up with.
Yeah.
People that they look up to, like artists, football players, etc. So with the social media, even though they censor us a lot, even though they try to do a lot of smearing campaigns, it's difficult for them to try and put the Muslim back inside that box and make everybody afraid of us again.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for them now, but they're very creative in finding solutions for that.
Yeah.
Because of the censoring, because of the terrorism acts that they can use whenever they want. So now they're scaring people with jail time, scaring people with, shutting down their whole operation. If you have a job, they're going to come for you. If you have a business, they're going to come for you. So they're still trying to make us scared.
Yeah.
But I don't think in the long run it will be effective what they're doing because the curtain has already fallen.
Yeah.
It's just a small percentage of people that still believe these lies. But the rest of the population, everybody can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that they're lying. It's just that the majority of people are scared to speak.
Yeah.
But they already know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest difference because people didn't know before.
Yeah.
They just hear the lies. The image gets built inside the head, and that's what it is. And the narrative gets solidified.
Yeah.
But now it's different now.
So when what happened in Amsterdam, when videos were emerging, I had a friend of mine in Gaza now who sent me one of the videos and, we exchanged perceptions on what was happening. Now, do you have a message to those in Gaza now that saw what happened in Amsterdam?
Goosebumps, man, when you say that. Wallahi.
Tell us your message, not only to the people of Gaza, but also to the Palestinian people and even the people of Lebanon, because you are their son, you are their brother, and they want to hear from you.
Wallahi, we are willing to die for you. Wallahi, and Allah is my witness, we are willing to go to the furthest extent to get you free, to liberate you. What else can we do? We fight for you. We're going to do everything that we can, to liberate our brothers and sisters. And we keep fighting the best way that we can with the limited tools that we have. But bi'idhnillah, inshallah, we're gonna put in the effort, the time, the energy to make it happen. And inshallah, Palestine will be free. Lebanon will be free. Yeah, what can I say, man? It's
my turn for the goosebumps, brother.
Wallahi,
it's deep. We feel it.
Man,
we feel it. And thank you so much to Appa for this episode of Mint Press, the Watchdog. We will see you again. We hope you tune in next week. And please follow Appa's work and follow the night shop in the west side of Rotterdam.
Shout out night shop.
Nice one.